Wednesday, April 23rd, 2014. Ontario Court of Justice, Family, File 47902. Ontario Superior Court of Justice, Family, File 47902. Ontario Superior Court of Justice, Civil, File to be announced. Supreme Court of Canada, File to be announced. This is video 15 of my mayoral platform in my attempts to having the honor and privilege of being your mayor, the mayor of the City of Toronto. This is by far the most controversial of all the other platforms that I presented and is briefly touched upon in my video 10, posted to Facebook and other social media outlets on April 10th, 2014. I have observed over the past 20 plus years of members of the Metropolitan Toronto Police Services abusing their authority and power in either intimidating and or physically acting upon members of the community whom are of visible and ethnic backgrounds, many of whom were youths whom were stopped as a result of their color and not for any other reason, and often harassed and charged with crimes they either did not commit and were taken into custody without given their rights, and often without their parents regarding being made aware of such until they are charged and have been interrogated, robbed, and or assaulted within their custody. The parents of these youths are often single parents or within a socio-economic situation who are unable to afford proper legal representation and unable to be there for bail hearings where they have to accept duty counsel, which often leads to either a conviction, to increase the statistics being kept on crime that is race-driven and not accurate to giving the full truths as to the support of the superiors or those whom are overseeing policing to condoning and supporting these types of actions, to create fear upon society, leading to increases in property taxes to justifying their only solution, the hiring of more police officers, and in clear violations of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of the majority of those youths whom they held and have taken advantage of, and never any real thought and effort by way of funding and or other initiatives to applying a proper solution to remedy these concerns of crime, poverty, and racial profiling within the many visible ethnic communities across the Greater Toronto Area. The issues surrounding these types of behavior amongst members of the constabulary have cost the City of Toronto millions of dollars in legal costs and other costs, including payouts for the behaviors of these individuals. And it comes at the expense of not only themselves, or more specific, other officers, but also affects the residents whom have to cover the costs of these actions. It affects the other departments within the city, as is being presently exampled with the closing of a fire station and the removal from service of 4 fire trucks, as well as the reduction of staff to saving monies that would have otherwise been saved to be used if members of the police services were to behave themselves according to the oath they swore to the public to doing their jobs. Where is the police chief in all of this? And as he cannot grasp the idea that there are residents within the city whom are of a multitude of ethnic backgrounds, whom are law-abiding citizens, whom just want to live, who pay their taxes, and also reside in these communities to be able to ensuring that they receive fair and equal treatment in the event it is required, like everyone else. And this assures to his salary and livelihood should be taking a leadership role as is their boss to making decisions to ensuring that those whom report to him understand the Canadian Constitution, the laws that they serve and are to protect, the oaths they swore to, the statutes and acts that they are sworn to uphold in the interests of the public and their safety amongst themselves as well as society, as well as those they serve, as well as within his employ. I believe there are many people who would love to explain their stories to the chief of their experiences with the members of the Metropolitan Toronto Police Force. This would include youths, their parents, and guardians, amongst many others of varying backgrounds and ethnicities. These behaviors from individuals whom are committing these crimes, and it is being covered up and or put aside as if it is nothing, will have to stop before the actions of these rogue individuals leads the city into bankruptcy, and all those officers whom were misled to believing their brotherhood being left with no pension. And this could extend to other city departments whom would be placed at risk unless something is done to send a message to these officers as well as to the public that they serve, that crime does not pay, and bad behavior will not be tolerated to avoiding the potential of such liabilities upon the city moving forward. I can say that I have experienced such actions against me where I was kidnapped by a member of the constabulary of the 11th Division under the Mental Health Act in 2008 and brought to the St. Joseph Health Center, where I was robbed of my lottery ticket and my driver's license by one of the officers who took me there, where I was immediately released and concerns raised by the doctor and the attendants as to why I was brought there in the first place. These same concerns were shared by myself as well as others. These actions by the constabulary continue to this day, where I have been stalked and followed by undercover officers, as well as by uniformed officers, as I have noted on Facebook and other social media outlets in plain sight. And funny enough, the posts that I have posted are all missing. They have blocked my emails and have attempted to set me up. They have tampered with my mail, where other employees of the city and government agencies have been put at risk of their employment, and also be put at risk of litigation as a result, in amongst the bearing of false witness against me, without merit and reason, and other outright ignorance, which is really race-driven. These are the types of acts that should not be tolerated and will not be if I become mayor, as laws apply to all, not just whom it is believed it applies to. In saying so, I would undertake the largest mass firing of the constabulary in Canadian history to purge these liabilities and any potential risks that could negatively affect the City of Toronto, following a review of all officers within the employ of the city, and then immediately rehire the officers whom have been doing their jobs according to the oaths they swore to. They would immediately be given a pay increase of 5%, and many officers whom have served for more than 5 years on the force would be promoted. The city would then undertake the largest hiring campaign to replacing that which was removed, so as to give the public the proof that the city is very serious in addressing these issues of crime and race and social profiling within and outside the force and the community at large. We would also replace the present uniforms for frontline officers to ensure that they are given the proper equipment and clothing in representing the new and improved City of Toronto Metropolitan Toronto Police Force. This would include leather jackets, amongst others, and other gear. And also, all officers will be given cultural diversity training, martial arts training, and be given back the billy club, with limitations placed on tasering within discretion, and further supporting the increased discretion of the use of the clubs instead of dealing with the potential dangers and or threats by force. As this will cause a lot of reaction from members of the constabulary and perhaps members of society whom are not of a visible ethnic background, it is being done to prevent the city from financial calamity and ruin as a result of the actions of individuals whom are not considering their own and acting as if they run shot. So I am pulling back the rein on this horse that's quite stubborn, and it's leaving society to now make that decision, because again, these officers are acting without recourse, and others are paying the burden for their actions, and it's not fair to them, not fair to society and the public they serve, as well as those whom they call brothers amongst them, whom are of visible ethnic race. This is necessary to moving the city forward and back on track to where it should have been some 15 years ago, in ensuring there was no divide within any of the communities that the City of Toronto serves. In fact, this would reestablish trust, the foundation of any relationship, to giving the many mothers and fathers the justice they deserve in solving the worst of all sins, the murder of their children. And as society feels that the church and government can coexist and be accepted, then so shall the laws that govern all, as none is above the law, especially those whom are responsible should ensure to it, as they have sworn an oath to defend and uphold to justice, as well as to serve and protect. DMSeII II, Donovan Searchwell for Mayor, without prejudice. Today is April 23rd, 2014. Give praise.